See, that guy telling me to eat a Twinkie. I've never even mentioned that I like Twinkies. I'm indifferent to them.
Didn't he misspell Twinkie? That was cute.
I don't know. I'm so. How did he not go egg roll? He's got to go egg roll. Come on. I mean, if you're gonna full out insult someone, you may as well go a little racist too, right?
You would think so.
Yeah.
What's the point if you're not gonna have as much fun with it as you can?
Also, stay with me here. So a little bit of one of the good things about being Asian or a minority is I feel like I get a little bit more leeway in the racism department. Like if I was a white person and said some of the things that I say, they'd be like, oh, that honk is pretty racist. But since I have a little pigmentation, I can be, I don't want to say carte blanche because definitely can go too far, but I can be a little racist and that's perfectly fine. Especially against my own people, which is the best.
Well, sure, we can all be that way about our own people.
Awful lot of honkies in here. No, like last night in the game when there were so many penalty flags on the 49ers and the Bears, I tweeted out, man, there's more yellow than my selfies out there. Or this game is more yellow than my selfies. Hello.
That's pretty actually humorous.
It's funny.
It is funny. It's a good time.
Sometimes people take themselves too seriously, and sometimes politically correctness goes a little bit too far, and people pretend like, oh, I don't see color at all. Well,
how?
Then you're just blind. I mean, we can just accept that we're different and be cool with that. I mean, we don't have to pretend that you're not a honky and I'm not a Chinaman.
Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah. You're what, Korean? Yeah.
Half Korean, half Japanese.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I like to call it a half Jap.
I mean, you can't have much more fun with it than that, can you, Andy?
Yeah, plus I can make World War II jokes, even though those might be too soon. What's your statute of limitations for making fun of things? So obviously the Adrian situation is too soon.
Too soon.
Penn State is too soon. 9/11's too soon. FDR. Rocking the wheelchair.
A polio joke might not be totally inappropriate.
What about a JFK joke? Well, you're from Texas, so I feel like that's different.
Well, it's not like I killed
since you people killed our president.
Well, I wasn't even born yet, so, blame me.
Really?
Blame me.
And Abraham Lincoln jokes, those are fair game. That's been long enough, right?
Sure. Abraham, yeah, I mean, it just depends. I think if you're, making fun of the way someone
listeners
dies,
of the show can be
cute.
listeners of the show can be like, I need this podcast like I need a hole in the head. But
oh, God. You're awful. You're awful.
Oh, it's not so bad.
Pretty bad.
I guess that could apply to be a JFK joke, too.
Oh.
That's terrible.
It is.
Claire, what else has been going on in your life? What else is big besides your 2-0 Houston Texans and your 50-win Houston Astros?
Well, okay, yeah, the Astros are not going to lose 100 games. My teams, currently my football teams, which are the majority of my everything, they're 5-0 right now between the Aggies and the Texans.
Congratulations. Kenny Trill and your $1 billion Aggies beat up on some small China school named Rice.
It's not a small China school. Don't be silly. Rice is where I really wanted to go to college. That's no joke. I really did.
We've been over this, except it's private and you're not smart enough.
Oh, no, I was smart enough. I got in. But my parents couldn't afford it, and I didn't qualify for any scholarships. So,
if you were really smart, you would have gotten scholarships.
I know. But I wasn't that smart. But I was smart enough to get in, but not that smart.
If you're a minority, you could have gotten minority scholarships because that's what paid for a lot of my school.
Yeah, I'm part Indian, but my mom, American Indian, but my mom was adopted, and so we don't really have any documentation.
You couldn't forge documentation?
I don't know. I'm not really good at dishonesty.
You could probably pass for Mexican.
I have been mistaken for Mexican once. I lost my passport on a trip to Mexico, and then where I was staying at, I'm out hanging out with all my friends. Then this cop comes up and says, hey, have y'all seen this girl? She's missing. Let me see your passports. I'm like, I don't have my passport. He's like, whoa, wait, you kind of look like her. No, I'm not her. I'm just some white chick from Texas. And
what was her name? Juliana?
I don't remember what her name was. But, so we finally convinced him that I was me and not I said, listen to me speak. Do you not hear me speak? Do I sound like I'm from Mexico? No.
One of my one of the funniest Carlos Mencia stand-up comedy things is when I'm hanging out with my friends, I'm like, hey, what's up, Carlos? I'm Carlos. Except then when I walk into the college higher education culture diversity scholarship board, I'm like, what's up? I'm Carlos.
You got totally go overboard.
And so what's the sort of demographics where you live in Tejas?
It's a total mixture of everything.
There's a lot of Chinese in Houston, isn't there?
There's a lot of Vietnamese. A lot of Vietnamese. There's the Chinatown. There's a Vietnamese side of town. I don't know if there's a Korean part of town. There's not really a Japanese part of town.
Any part of town I'm in is the Korean part of town.
Oh, okay. There are Korean restaurants that I think are owned by Korean people.
Well, let me guess. They serve dog meat, huh?
No, but I did go to one.
How dare you?
I went to one that was a deli, and the meat had some weird sinew in it, and it freaked me out. I couldn't do it.
You know what my favorite things to do is? I very much enjoy going to the Asian food stores and pretending to be like a secret agent.
Oh.
Yeah, because I speak very limited Mandarin, and I speak no Korean or Japanese. So when I go in there, I was just be like, hi. And then...
act like you're investigating things?
No, it's just I always feel like these people look at me, and they smile and nod at me, and I nod back, and they think I'm one of them.
You're awful. I don't know how people deal with you.
This is the sort of gallows sense of humor you have to bring up, because a lot of people just be like, oh, that's a racist. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is kind of fun. I mean, if you got to be able to laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's ask some random questions.
Yes.
Do you prefer summer or winter?
I actually prefer winter.
Okay, that's really disturbing.
Fall is my favorite season. Summer is all right because you can go to the lake and then it's all sunny out and stuff. But I feel like it gets too hot, even up here. Plus mosquitoes. Do you have mosquitoes down there?
Oh my God, yes.
Oh well, good. Not coming to Texas then. I despise them. Even though I understand. Even though yes, I understand they're a key part of the ecosystem and they're food for a lot of animals, but whatever.
Right. I mean, they exist for a reason. Everything exists for a reason. But if there was one thing you had to get rid of, it would probably be mosquitoes.
Even trolls on Twitter exist for a reason.
Do they?
Da-da. Probably not.
Oh. What's your greatest fear?
I'm not going to tell you because you would use that against me. I feel like you're setting me up like Saw, and then you're going to... Do you want to play a game? Then that little doll on the bike rolls in. I'm
not traveling that far to play a game with Andy. Sorry, dude.
You know, once the Calera versus Carlson show blows up, then we're just going to be traveling on location, like from the Super Bowl, and that'll be fun.
That would be fun. I'll do that. But
you would.
I'll just meet you there. I won't be coming through Minnesota to come and gather you or anything.
Oh, well, what about when the Super Bowl's in Minnesota? That's kind of a big deal.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Damn it.
And Houston gets a Super Bowl like once every 6 years anyways.
Yeah. All right with Super Bowls.
Even though I don't know why, because
pretty major.
Your guys' turf is garbage. Your guys' turf is the reason that
it totally is garbage. Out. And they use the fake stuff.
Why don't they just install field turf and get it over with?
I don't know. It was a thing where you thought, okay, it's Gary. He doesn't want them to change the turf, right? They changed the turf for a college game they had there. They changed the turf all the time to the fake stuff. And then they put it back to the crap that we have there for every Texans game. And it doesn't make any sense. Even the turf at Kyle Field was awful. And you know what A&M is? A&M is an agriculture and mechanical university. That's what A&M stands for. And the turf is awful. Awful.
I don't understand why all the stadiums in the league aren't mandated to have field turf. Because you got to think in $1 billion industry they could pull that off. Even in Oakland, which is a baseball stadium.
Yeah.
And like the turf at FedEx Field in Washington is terrible.
Yeah. I don't understand how they cannot be prepared for games. And it should just be the same across the board. Why can't it just be the same across the board?
Everything should be in domes and 50-yard fields and arena football.
Whoa. That's crazy talk.
Arena football is pretty exciting, though.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right, but NFL football is just better.
Yeah, for now, until their moms. No, this is going to be, to wrap it up here and talk about actual football, this might be a real problem. The ripple effects of, who decides if the kid plays football or not. It's not the dads. Mm-hmm. It's mama. It's mama for sure. Because if mama ain't happy, ain't no one happy, right?
That's exactly right.
And in this past week, the NFL has shown mamas who can be very protective of their children. The NFL has showed them that the NFL doesn't care about women. The NFL doesn't care about children.
Mm-hmm.
And that could have a lot of... People are underestimating the potential effects this could have because people can hold long-term grudges, especially... I'm not saying that all mothers aren't completely dialed into the NFL and keeping up abreast with breaking NFL news. There's a good portion are. But some who are occasional fans just will see these stories and be like, nope, done.
Yep.
And then shut it off completely. Junior is going to play lacrosse. Junior is going to play soccer. And he ain't playing football. And then 20 years down the line, we got a group of a very shallow talent pool.
Yeah.
Professional football.
But hey,
college football.
But everyone's going to be into soccer. And so, there'll be some great crop of soccer players. And maybe NFL will have served its course by then. Kind of like how baseball is very much faded from popularity. Who knows? Who can say that football will maintain this popularity 20 years from now?
I think the trend for football is that it'll eventually be actual 7-on-7.
Oh.
And I'm kind of okay with that because that's all I really care about is fantasy points.
All we need is fantasy points. Just the people who score and the people who stop it. That's it.
And just going back to the completely overdramatic part again, it's like if I actually do decide to jettison my football team that I cheer for, I'll probably just really get into fantasy. I mean, there's a lot of people who aren't anchored to a team. They probably are relatively indifferent to one, or they're fine if a local team wins. But there's a lot of people who just like the NFL for fantasy purposes.
Good point.
Yeah.
There seem to be a lot of people who don't cheer for one particular team. They're just NFL fans or fantasy fans. Yeah. So be that guy.
Yeah, like my wife has a cousin who has a closet probably full of like 50, 60 of the actual authentic stitched NFL jerseys. And they're all of fantasy football players.
Oh.
Not of any specific team. He's got like Doug Martin, who isn't really much of a fantasy football player, let's be honest. Megatron, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton, everybody.
Wow. That's a pretty big commitment to fantasy football.
Just because of fantasy football. I know it. It's awesome. I don't really understand it, but it's awesome.
Yeah, in its own way, sure. I mean, because fantasy is a spectator sport that you're involved with. You know?
No.
Okay.
All right. And speaking of fantasy, wrap up with one question here. Claire, what is your fantasy? I feel like a lot of people want to know.
My fantasy?
Yeah. You know what I mean.
Are we getting a little bit personal here? Oh, my God.
I was talking about football. I don't know what you were talking about.
I didn't know what you were talking about. You were totally caught me off guard with that one.
How dare you? How dare you?
My fantasy would be playing the Cowboys in the Super Bowl and winning and embarrassing them.
In Texas.
Ew.
At Jerry World.
At Jerry World. I mean, it would be cool if it was in Houston, but it would be so much cooler if it was in Jerry World. They would
at
cry.
The Astrodome.
The Astrodome is defunct, dude.
At that $6 million stadium they built in Allen, Texas, but had to vacate it because it wasn't up to code.
Oh, my God. Who does that? Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, I wondered why the stadium was so cheap. And now it made sense.
There you go. So that would be my fantasy. What would be yours?
I don't know. Since my favorite team and I aren't on speaking terms right now,